I'm back. I love it. I love having humor, you know. So there's a chick talking to me on a dating app, and I think she's a bot. I think she's totally scammer. So better tread lightly, right? Err on the side of caution, as they say. Right? Right. Ain't playing around with that. Not at all. Asking me all kinds of weird questions. Talking about their philosophy of love. Get out of here. You know? Alright, so I want to pick up where I left off. And I was really getting to the territory where it's getting hard. With my... and I do want to preface this again by saying this is not fun. Just because I'm doing it doesn't mean it's fun. It is work. It is. But there's good things that come with work, right? And so it does pay off for sure, but it is work. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating if I seem to be jolly or in a good mood, doesn't mean that I'm happy about these things I'm telling you necessarily, right? So anyway, because these are sad things. I'm sad about these things that have happened in the past. But so yeah, I last talked about getting to the point where I was not doing very well with my wife, and we felt really distant. We did feel pretty distant, but there's a lot that there's kind of like a culmination. There's kind of like a long-term culmination of struggles and stress and woes and sadness and insecurity and feeling trapped, feeling scared a little bit. Scared because I was like, I didn't want my life to pass me by. That's scary. I mean, you don't want to spend your life doing something that because I felt a tinge of it when I proposed to her, when I thought about proposing to her. I was like, okay, this is your life. It was kind of just like, what are you going to do? Are you going to do it or not? What are you going to do? Are you going to do it or not? What are you going to do? Are you going to do it or not? And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do it. I was like, I have to do it. I have to. It's my only choice. I have to. And so that was hard, of course, that whole procedure of getting engaged. So now fast forward, and we started struggling a little bit. It wasn't even like we were struggling that much. It was just like there was stuff going on at home that was just annoying and frustrating, and I had just gotten to the point where I'd kind of had enough, and I just needed a reason. I needed a situation. I needed the right situation and the right reason to help me get over the hump to say it. And I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I was so scared. I was like, I can't just do this. I can't. And I was really scared because I knew that I kind of thought about it already. I was like, well, if I do say this to her, if I do say I'm not happy and I don't want to do this anymore or whatever, or if I say anything like that at all, like I need a break or we need to take a break or I'm really upset, I'm really struggling or whatever, there was a lot I felt like I could say that wouldn't really be heard. And that was part of the problem. Not necessarily that she wouldn't hear me, but that it was just feeling not heard, feeling not listened to, etc. And so I was mindful about what I did and what I said, because I was afraid that if I did say something, then it was going to change the complexion of everything, which of course it was. It was going to change the complexion of everything, of course. But what I was afraid of was I was afraid of saying something and then her being like, oh my gosh, well, we need to just do this, or I'm so sorry, or, blah, 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 we need to do this, we need to do this, and convincing me to stay, because there was a lot, and it's actually kind of tricky for me right now. It's tricky still to discern. I struggle with this sometimes, thinking about it. how much of the adversary influenced my decision to end the marriage. I didn't really have a relationship with God. I was pretty much just like to go with the flow, and that was kind of like my life, you know. And I wasn't really that happy. No, I wasn't really that happy. But you know, I did really love and care for my wife. And at the same time, though, I did feel really frustrated, and I did feel, I felt long-term frustrated, if that makes sense. I felt long-term frustrated. I felt like a recurring feeling was, oh my gosh, I've got to do this. I've got to do this again, or I've got to do this again, you know, or this or that, or this or that. And marriage, I'm not a pro at all. I'm not going to sit here and try to give you a lecture about marriage, but I want to say that marriage is tough, and I do feel like it is definitely, certainly true from what I've heard, and I do believe this is actually very true. There are times where you won't be attracted to your partner. There's times where you will be repelled by your partner. Repulsed is a strong word. Even repulsed, but repelled by your partner at times, I believe. And that's where you know, that's where the true love really kicks in. I think that's where you have to really think about what you're doing and what you know, you've chosen to marry this person. This person means so much to you, and all these things. And it's so important to take care of that relationship of how you feel about your person and how they feel about you. It's so important to take care of it, because if you don't take care of it, it will get sick and it will die. And ours did get sick, unfortunately. It got sick, and it got to the point where it was just like another day, you know. But you do that so many times. You do that so many days in a row. It's one thing to be like, here we go again. Here we go again, you know. It's one thing to be like that. And it's another thing to be like, all right, well, another day. And do that every day for, say, 2 years or 3 years or however long. Do that long enough, and you get to the point where you're just like, I don't even know how to begin to explain how I feel. I don't even know how to begin. I don't even know how to begin. I don't know where to start, and I'm struggling, and I'm having a really hard time, and I'm really, really frustrated. I'm really, really annoyed. I'm really, really angry, and all these things. I say those things now, and those things were very true then. But I also felt like, well, at the time, saying those kinds of things was like the hardest thing in the world, the scariest thing in the world, the most insane thing in the world, the most counterintuitive thing to say in the world, because I felt, well, a lot of our relationship was built on a really ill foundation, and that foundation was, I need somebody, I love you, please love me, and you love me, okay, she loves me, okay, oh my gosh, she loves me, oh my gosh, she loves me, 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 she actually loves me, and that could take you a long way. But then eventually you might get to the point where you don't feel like you love her, or you're looking at your life and you're looking at the future and you're thinking, I don't want to do this. But then you can't say that. It's like you can't say that. And so it's kind of like, what I'm trying to illustrate is a trap and a dilemma and a trick, if you will. It's kind of like a trick, because it's like you feel this thing, but you can't say this thing. How can you say what you feel? And if you can't say what you feel, then you can't say what you feel. And if you can't say what you feel, then how honest is your life? How honest are you? How happy can you be? You can only keep it a secret for so long. You can only stuff it down deep inside for so long. You can only keep fighting this battle for so long. And I will tell you that, and of course, if here's the thing, if you're, I don't know a good example, but okay, let's use hockey, right? Maybe this will make sense. It makes sense to me. When you're playing hockey, every team has two goalies. They have a starting goaltender, they have a starting goalie, and they have a backup goalie. Sometimes both those goalies are so good that they don't have an A and a B. They have a 1A and a 1B because they're both starting because they're so good. So you just put your goalie in there, and he gets scored on, and then he gets scored on again, and then he gets scored on again and again. At some point, it doesn't take much before you get to the point where you have to take your goalie out, because if you don't take your goalie out, you are damaging him. How are you damaging him? You're damaging him by leaving him in there to get beaten up. That's the thing. It's like in a boxing fight. If someone's getting brutally beaten, you call the fight. You don't let the guy kill the guy. You call the fight and stop it. It's out of mercy. So, realistically, I could have lasted in that marriage a lot longer. I could have lasted, who knows how much longer. I could have lasted, I don't know, 8 years, 5 years. I don't know how many more years. But that completely remained to be seen. And at what cost and what state would I be in? And you never know. And the other thing was, I also felt this. It was a very large looming thing. It was, if you stay somewhere long enough, it will be your home. And it'll get to the point where it's going to be impossible to leave. If you stay somewhere long enough, the longer you stay somewhere, the harder it is to leave. It's kind of a thing. Sometimes, in certain situations. So it's like that. It's like, the longer you stay somewhere, the harder it is to leave. And so I had this realization. I was like, I'm getting into dangerous territory. If I stay here, it is only going to get harder. Or not. But either way, this is really crazy, and I am at the precipice. I am at the point where I am able to seize what I thought was never possible, because in a lot of ways I thought that I could never do it. In a lot of ways I didn't think I could do it. I thought, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't enter a marriage, or I can't break up with Kate. Like, why would I do that? That's insane. I can't do that. I could never do that. I could never do that. I could never hurt her. I could never do that. I could never break her heart. I could never do that, But the other side was like, well, you're going to be here for the rest of your life. And what is more important to you? Being happy in life, or keeping someone happy in life? And that's a crazy dilemma. On the surface level, when I hear that question, I can't even comprehend it. Because in Christianity, we're taught to take up our cross and follow Jesus. Take on the suffering and lay your life down for the ones that you love. Love others, right? Love others. Yes, we're supposed to love others. Okay, well, we're supposed to love others. Okay. Well, at what cost? At the cost of ourselves, of our well-being, of our sanity, of our this, of our that, all the above? At what cost? That's a good question. This is a great question. This is a very, very important question, right? And how self-sacrificing. Self-sacrificing is a great thing, right? To be sacrificing, that's a great thing, right? Right? Well, you just kind of assumed so. I just always thought that was a part of the whole true love thing, But, if it gets to a point where you are like, dude, what the heck am I doing? Like, what the heck am I doing? I am freaking so sad, and I am dying inside. My soul is crying. When your soul it sounds funny, but like when your soul is crying, you should listen to that. You better listen. because that is important. Regardless of what you think, it's important. Because you are important. I am important. We are important. Everyone is important. Right? There are no unimportant people. Everyone is important. You have to think about how God sees us. He sees us in a wonderful light. He loves us. We are all His children. He loves us infinitely. He loves us all individually as His children. Even though He has all of us, even though there's so many of us, it doesn't matter. You still love your children with everything you have. They are your world. They are your heart living outside of your chest, walking around in a dangerous world. So I was just, some part of me somewhere, and I don't really know where it came from, but some part of me was basically like, Justin, you need to do this. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I can't do this. And I don't think I can do this. I'm afraid to do this. But the other part of me, the part of me that was very real and that was kind of, it felt kind of new actually, it started emerging. And I guess this was, I don't know what part of me this was, or if it was me. I do believe it was me. But that's why I said before about like the adversary. I don't know how much the adversary affected me, because the adversary does tempt us to do bad things. And was that a bad thing to end my marriage and break up with my wife? Was that a bad thing? No, it wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing because it was what I needed, and actually it was what she needed as well. I did not, I'm not saying that at the time I knew this and that's why I did it. It was totally out of mercy or whatever. It was like, no, it was like I needed to do this. I needed to do this for myself. I needed to do this for my own well-being, my own life. And I did not know how to do it. I got myself into a pickle so deep and so big that I never thought I'd ever get out of it. And so when you have a chance to get out of it, you kind of have to take it sometimes. And that sounds horrible because no one thinks about like a marriage like it's something to get out of. But sometimes you're in a situation where, like I was, where you've tried to make it work for a while. You get to a point where you realize that you're at a point where you're like, what the heck am I doing? Why am I doing this? And it's like, well, your answer all along, you've always known why you're doing it. Your answer is because you love her. Because you love her. Because you're in love with her. Because you love her. That's why. That's your why, because you love her. But you also get to a point where you are going, what the heck am I doing with my life? And this is the part I struggle with, because I go back and forth. I struggle with this. I go back and forth all the time, and I mostly stay on the side of the fence that says, no, Justin, it's okay. You did the right thing. You needed to do this, and you did it. So good job. You actually did it. Yes, that was crazy, and oh my gosh, good night in the morning, and God bless your poor heart. But you did it. You needed to do it, and you did it. But the other side is, what the heck? Why would you do that? What's wrong with you? Why? Literally, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? Why would you do that to the sweetest girl in this world? Why would you break her heart? Why would you do this? Why would you wait? Why would you stay with her and then wait to do it later? Why would you marry her and then do it like 2 years later? Why? Why would you do this? Why didn't you say something sooner? If there was something wrong, why didn't you say so? Why? That's the other side. And so I was caught in the middle, and why? That's a hard question to answer. Why, right? Well, I'll try to answer it anyway, because that's what we're all here for. This is therapy here, basically. Getting through things again, getting through things in a better way, really. Why did I do it? I did it because I was afraid. I was afraid to go on living in a situation where I saw my life panning out in a way that I didn't like and that I was afraid of. I was scared. I was scared that my life would never change, that things would never get better, that I would never be happy, and I was afraid to sacrifice my life for someone. I was afraid to sacrifice my life for someone when I didn't feel it was necessary. It was not necessary to sacrifice my life for her. I felt that it was not necessary to do that. And because of that, I realized that I didn't have to do that. I didn't need to. I didn't need to sacrifice my life for her. I didn't need to sacrifice my happiness for her. You know what I mean? Happiness comes and goes. Joy is more permanent, but happiness comes and goes. But when you're in a position for so long where you're literally just wondering like how you're going to do it, your life feels lame. Your existence feels lame. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Do things change? No, things never change. Things always stay the same in that situation. And things as in the circumstance, things as in the situation. And just not knowing how, not having the heart. I did not have the heart to hurt her. I did not have the heart to hurt her. And then, so when I did hurt her, when I did it from a place of reckless abandon. Complete and total reckless abandon. I had to do it from a place that said, you know what? I am so sorry, but I can't. I don't have anything left to give. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And that's really, really hard. Really hard. So, yeah. Obviously it's hard, right? But, yeah. So, yeah. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. What a scary thing. And then the other scary part was, not just, it was so scary because it was like, I'm literally taking a stick of dynamite to my life. I'm detonating my life. I am blowing my life up. That's what that move was. That's what that decision was. I am going to take my happy life and destroy it. And what a counterintuitive thing to do, right? What an insane thing to do. How could I do that, right? How could I do that? And so that's another reason why it was so hard, and that's why it was so hard to ever say anything or share anything about my feelings or thoughts, what I was actually going through, how I was really feeling, what I was really dealing with, etc., because I knew the possibilities, I knew the repercussions, and so I had to double down. Basically, I had to say, you know what? It literally took everything I had. Again, it's like the whole Darth Vader analogy. It took everything he had to rescue his son and pick up the Emperor and throw him down the pit. And it killed him. It took everything he had to do that. This took everything I had as well. And the crazy part was, a confusing part about it was, as soon as I started to do it, I felt so much life return to me. I felt so much energy and just like, oh my gosh, someone finally plugged me back into the wall. Someone finally charged me again. I've been dead. I feel like I have been dead for years, and I've finally been brought back to life. That's how it felt. And then that was weird because I pulled the plug on her. So I was dead, she was alive, and we switched places, basically. That's kind of like what it was like. That might sound crazy. Of course it sounds crazy, but that's kind of how it was. Because when I told her that, she lost it. She broke down, she cried. I have never been able to really process that moment because I feel like I have such a big emotional block in my mind because of how hard it was to do, how hard it was to take, how hard it was to fathom, how hard it was to comprehend, because of how much I loved her and how much I cared about her, it was impossible for me to comprehend inflicting that much pain on her. And so I think in a lot of ways I have blocked that out of my mind. I have put up some kind of barrier between me and processing that and feeling it and understanding it. I have apologized to her. I have apologized to her profusely, and it always never seemed to be enough. It never seemed to be enough, because it always seemed like, well, why are you apologizing, you idiot? If you're really sorry, then don't do it. Stop. Why are you doing this? Don't do it. If you're really sorry, don't do it. And so it's a very complicated thing to describe, but it was one of those kinds of things, if that makes sense. So it's just weird. It's like, part of me, I feel, might not be meant to feel that. Possibly. I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe, like I said, I just have a block. But part of me might not be. I don't know. It feels awfully irresponsible of me to walk in, mess things up, and walk away, right? Like, what a horrible thing to do. But that was never my intention. That's not what I did. I didn't walk in, mess things up, and walk away. No. I met her, we got along, we dated, we fell in love, we became best friends, we did everything together, we hung out, we did everything together, we went everywhere together, we hung out with each other's families, each other's friends, all the things, for years. We were deeply in love, madly in love. We built a life together, we moved across the country together, we got a place to live together, we got engaged, we got married, we got a house, we successfully managed a house and paid our bills and worked jobs and, all these things and birthdays, Christmas, holidays, everything, road trips, everything. But all along that way, I get tired eventually when I say all that. Eventually I get to the point where I get tired, because I was tired then. I was worn out then. I gotta switch my glasses. Because you can only stay somewhere for so long, if that makes sense. If it's not good for you, you can only stay somewhere for so long. And I guess good destinations, of course, have time limits too. Sometimes you can't stay forever in good places. But anyway, that's another discussion. I'm not even talking about that. But yeah, I just do think that this idiot, he better slow down. He's like rushing through and everyone's putting their brake lights on. Yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like it was this thing that I had to do, right? And I feel like I finally, I'm not gonna sit here and celebrate and be like, I set myself free. I released myself from my own prison. I set myself free and be happy and celebrate. I'm not going to do that, because I did it at the expense of someone else. And I don't know. Of course, I feel like maybe there was a better option. Of course there was a better option, right? Like, let her down easy somehow. I don't know how. And that was the thing. And it was just like, I was so burned out and tired. It was just, so yeah, when you're struggling, when you're really in the pit, when it gets that bad, that's why it's so important to try to be honest and try not to let things get to this point. When you feel them going that way, you better stop and you better say something. You better be honest, because you'll run into the same problem I did. That's what I ran into. I wasn't honest. I wasn't honest enough. I wasn't honest soon enough. And I was honest way too late. And it's scary. And you know what? Look, we are not perfect in this life. We are not perfect. We do not have the answers. They do not give you a how-to in life. You know what I mean? For every situation. Like, we are literally trying to figure this stuff out on our own. You know what I mean? We're literally trying to figure it out on our own. And I'm not any different than anyone else in that. So it's crazy. That's what. Yeah, so it's crazy. So I'm not gonna blame myself too much for it. I'm not gonna beat myself over the head. Yeah, I'm not gonna blame myself. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna shame myself. I'll say that. I'm not gonna shame myself for it. I'm not gonna beat myself over the head. Things are different now. We're different people. We've moved on. We have lived separate lives. We have lived our own lives now. We've gotten to that point where we have so much time has passed. Yeah, so much time has passed. And we're different people now. In a lot of ways, I'd say we're different people. Part of me is curious, like I wonder how she is, and I wonder what talking with her would be like. But at the same time, like catching up talking, but at the same time, or like meeting in person talking. But at the same time, I can see where that would not even be necessary. It's not necessary at all, actually. It's not necessary. But also, it wouldn't be really appropriate, or it wouldn't be like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think she needs closure. I don't think she needs any of that stuff. I don't know. But and sometimes you better not open up a can of worms. Sometimes you better let sleeping dogs lie. You know what I mean? She's happy. She's got a family. She's got a husband. She's got kids. She's happy. I'm happy. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I have learned a lot. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've grown a lot. I've had a lot of my own experiences. I've done a lot of my own exploring, growing, and learning, and I'm happy about that. You know, I'm not happy about mistakes. You know what I mean? I'm not happy about the bad stuff. But that's just how it goes. That's how it goes sometimes. That's just how it goes sometimes. Literally, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you make mistakes, right? And I made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, and maybe that was a mistake, right? Maybe leaving her was a mistake, but I don't think it was. Yeah, no, I don't think it was, because I really needed to, and I needed a lot, and I did not know how to get it. And when you're dying, you're fighting for life. You're fighting for your life, right? And yeah, you're fighting for your life. So you're literally, you are trying. You're fighting for your life. That's the whole point. You're fighting for your life. You are trying to live. And I had to figure out how to do that. And because I knew, I'm proud of myself in a way that I knew that I had agency then, which is great. Some part of me somehow knew that I had agency, meaning I can make my own choices, make my own decisions. I knew that, but of course every choice has consequences, you know? So, yeah, so it was hard, to say the least. It was really hard, of course. I've said that so many times, and it's so true. It was so hard. And, yeah, so, and, you know, that meant saying goodbye to her, walking away from the problems, and walking away from the heartache, walking away from the sadness, walking away from the misery, walking away from the tiredness, walking away from the drain. It's like it drained me, I guess. Walking away from all that also meant walking away from all the good things that brought as well, in a lot of ways. And I did get those things back in different ways from other people later and stuff like that, and even, yeah, in better ways at times. But that was hard too, because I didn't have a lot of friends there in Reno, like I said, but I was close with all of her family, and all of her family knew me. All of her family knew and loved me, right? So I was walking away from all of them as well. I wasn't just walking away from her, I was walking away from everyone. And that was really hard. So that was another thing that made it so hard, because I wasn't just doing this to her, and it wasn't like I'd be able to do this without having to answer for it. I was going to have to answer for it. It was like I was committing a crime. It's like, there's going to be a consequence for this, Justin. There's going to be consequences for this. That's what kind of a thing it was. And so I guess I did it the wrong way, because I feel the shame. I feel guilt kind of saying that. I guess I did it the wrong way, because I guess we should have gone to counseling. But you go to counseling to work things out, right? And but I didn't want to work things out. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I was afraid that if she convinced me to, that I would never leave, that I would never, you know what I'm saying? I felt like I finally gotten up the courage to do it, right? I finally felt like I had the wherewithal to do it. And so I was like, well, if you don't do it, you might never get this chance again, and you might not ever have the courage to do it again. And so that's fear. But that fear helped me. It helped motivate me to do it. And yeah, so that's partially why it was so hard, because I was so terrified of doing it, trying it, and failing. Like, this is gonna sound so horrible. This is gonna sound so horrible. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna try saying this. Okay. When a person goes to commit suicide, I mean, I don't know what the situation is, what they're planning, what they're thinking. Everyone, I think, is in different places and is dealing with different things and has different thoughts. But let's just say this thought comes to you, right? Where you think, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it. I don't want to fail. I want to do it. Because if I fail, I'm going to be here still. And I don't want to be here anymore. That's that thought, right? And for the record, don't worry about me. I'm not suicidal. I don't have any suicidal thoughts at all. Not at all. Not in a million years. But yeah, so no, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me, okay? Don't worry about me, for real. Mark me safe, for real. I'm just saying though, there's a thought. If you're going to do that, it tells you, well, if you're going to do it, you better do it right. As if there's really a right way to do it. But meaning that you don't want to fail. You want to do it. You want to see it all the way through. And again, I feel like this is such a horrible thing to say, really, or talk about, I guess. But suicide is very real. People do deal with it all the time. It's a terrible thing. It's a horrible thing. It's a very sad thing. But I understand to a point, about people and the struggles that they go through. And so there was that fear of failure. I didn't want to fail. I wanted to succeed. I didn't want to fail, because if I failed, then I might land right back where I was before all along, and then repeat a long loop again of how many years? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years? How many more years would I have to do again before I finally felt like I could get out, before I finally felt like I could do something about it? And to be fair, I didn't really know. This was just guessing. This was just all what I thought, Yeah. But yeah, just to talk about this. That's the point of this video. Is I'm just talking about this stuff, to try to help myself get through it a little bit more and deal with things. But yeah, so I was afraid of failing. I didn't want to fail, because if I failed, then oh my gosh, I'd be stuck right back where I was. It's like, oh my gosh, if something takes every ounce of strength that you've got, you don't want to miss. That's the thing. You want to get there. It's like running a marathon, right? I saw a video, it's like last night actually. It's a lady running a marathon, And she got to the point where she thought it was the finish line, and she stopped running. And she started talking to the crowd on the side, and everyone's trying to encourage her along, like, no, don't stop running. You come so far. You're almost there. Just keep going. You're almost there. And she didn't realize she hadn't finished the race yet, technically reached the finish line. And so what a crazy thing, right? So that's the whole point. When you come that far, you actually do want to get there. You want to make it to the end. Now, of course, this depends on this depends on whether or not the thing you want to do is good or not. Because if it's not good, then you should absolutely not do it. You should not see it through. Like suicide, for example, you should not see it through. Absolutely not. You just shouldn't. But I am not going to sit here and shame anyone at all. I'm not encouraging, but I'm not shaming. So now you know a little bit more about it and how hard that was and how difficult that was, and it was just how I expected it to be, really. I mean, it's how I could have imagined it. Pulling the plug, and then it's like pulling the brick out of the wall of the Hoover Dam, and then watching all the water bust free. Floodgates open. That's how it was. And I destroyed her. I destroyed her. I broke her down, and I broke her heart. So, I mean, that's a horrible thing. A horrible thing to think about. A horrible thing to comprehend, to ponder. But I did. I broke her heart. And this was no light thing. This was our lives. I was her person. I was her partner. I was her husband. I was her everything. I was her world. I was her person. I was all these things. And I ended it. I destroyed that. I pulled the plug. So, but I guess maybe part of me knew. I guess, I did worry about her. I did worry about her a little bit, but her family was all there for her. So that was perfect that her family was there for her. Her family was there for her, and I knew that she would get through it. I guess in some way, I knew that she'd be okay. I knew that she'd be okay, because I don't think that I would have ever really done that if I wasn't sure that she'd be okay. Like, if I really felt like there was a real problem, like she would not recover from this, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done something different. But, so I guess on some level, I kind of felt or kind of knew that she would be okay. I knew that I would be okay. Of course, I mean, I knew I would be okay. I mean, it's what I wanted. It's what I wanted. It's what I needed, and I was getting what I needed. So, even though it was traumatic for me as well, it was traumatic for her, and I did that. That was my fault. You know what I mean? That was my action that caused that. I am responsible for that. I am not responsible for her finding true love, remarrying, and having babies. I'm not responsible for that. But I am so thankful that has happened for her. I'm so thankful that happened to her. I'm so thankful that she is happy. I'm so thankful that she found a loving husband, someone who actually does love her the way she needs to be loved, and appreciates her the way she needs to be appreciated, and who can do it, I don't want to say like who can deal with it, because I'm not saying she's a terrible person, but she has that person, and I'm so thankful that she does. I'm so thankful she does, So that was really, really, really hard. Really, really hard. And there were a lot of things also that I'm not sharing that were going on as well, that I guess complicated things or made things a little easier to do or more confusing or whatever, or worse or whatever. But I had already started to kind of fall apart and fall off the wagon, so to speak. I had already started to fall down, I guess. And so in a lot of ways, I guess it kind of was inevitable. I do remember having a choice. I do remember thinking, I can do this or not. I can go down this road or not. But I decided, no, I'm not going to go down that road. I am going to do it. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to end this. And yeah, so crazy, absolutely crazy, absolutely real. And yeah, so long story short, am I happy that I got out of it? Happy's not the word I'd use. I wouldn't say I'm happy I got out. Man, people are just nuts. This guy's nuts driving this big old crab truck going speed of light, 80 miles an hour, 70 at least, ripping through here. Am I happy that I did it? No. Am I glad that I did it? I have to, yes. I mean, that's not the word, but yes. Am I thankful that I did it? Yes. And that's weird because that feeling overlaps. It overlaps me and her. And I'm not thankful that I hurt her. But I am thankful that I got out of that relationship. So there's my answer. I'm not happy and glad that I hurt her. I'm not thankful that I hurt her. I am glad that I was able to finally figure out how to get free in order to be happy. And I did that. And what came next is a whole nother story. But I got out, basically. I hate using this expression, but this was like being in prison. And that's not to say anything. That's not to say anything against her. What I mean is, it was like being in a place that you could never get out of. It was like, how do you get out of these ropes that you can't untie? How do you get out of a straitjacket, right? Well, apparently some people escape a straitjacket, but still, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get out of a straitjacket? It's like, I don't know. And so that's that, you know? That's what that was like. And it's over now. The relationship is over. I still have memories. And I'll always have memories to some extent. And so will she. But that chapter of my life, those chapters of my life are over. And they've been over for a long time. But it's really nice to kind of go through things again. It's really nice to talk things out, to talk through things, to get through them, to deal with them. It's really nice to do that. And I don't take that lightly. I don't think this is a game. I'm not laughing. I don't think this is a joke. I don't think this is fun. You know what I mean? So, yeah. One more step along the healing journey, basically. But yeah, I am looking forward to continuing this. Looking forward to continuing this process because I know it's beneficial, and I am looking forward to that. But I thank you. I thank you for your patience and for your kindness in listening, and I thank you in your sobriety. What I mean is, I thank you in your maturity. I appreciate your maturity in listening to this. I appreciate your sitting through this. Not that it's something to bear, but I mean, like, sitting through this as an I appreciate you being here with me. I appreciate you taking the time to get through this with me. And I don't know if anyone will listen to this whole thing, but I'm just saying that I appreciate you. That's it. And I'm thankful for you. So, crazy times. I gotta end this video somewhere, and so that's what I'm gonna do. So, see ya.